All right, I'm taking out the XT225. This little guy's been getting neglected because I've been infatuated with the CRF 300L Rally, so I figured I'd take it out so the engine can stay warm and not gummed up over the winter. Just kind of enjoy the fun simplicity of this bike. It really is a blast. I had this one, the XT225, and then I also, you'll see from another video, I had an XT250. I debated on which one to sell to kind of help pay for my CRF 300L Rally, and I decided to sell the 250 because it was worth more, and these bikes are so similar that, and this is the one that my son rides most, so he likes it better, so this is the one that I kept. But like I said, they're very similar in how they ride, how they feel, seat height. Biggest difference for me is that this one has a carburetor. 250 of course had a fuel injector, and I like this one has a 6th gear, kind of fun. I mean, for me, if money wasn't an issue and it was just me riding it all the time, I probably would have kept the 250, but I really love this bike, so no regrets, especially since most of the time these days I'm out on the 300L. But you gotta love these Yamaha XTs. They just run forever. This one's a 2005. Doesn't have a ton of miles on it. Does it have 4,400 miles on it? But you know, for a 17-year-old bike, it just runs flawlessly. I mentioned this when I did my review of the 300L Rally, that now when I bought the XTs because I've got short legs and I was just worried about seat height. These are just, I don't think you can get any better than these for that. I think the TW200 is even a little bit shorter, but to me that's less of a road capable bike and more of just strictly trails. And even though trails is what I ride on these, I wanted to feel more comfortable on the roads getting to the trails. But now, after riding the Rally for a few months, this one just feels like a fun little mini bike to me. And that's not a bad thing. It's a blast. And like I said, it's just a workhorse. The only thing I've ever done on it, I replaced some plastics that got broken. Some of them were kind of scratched up before we got it, and my son took a couple of pretty good spills that broke some more plastics, so replaced those. Had to replace the clutch switch that told the bike the clutch was on, because when I got it you could only start it if it was in neutral. But all super minor stuff. No issues with the engine whatsoever. Clutch has been great. You just kind of look at the dash. It's like going back in time. You gotta love this tripometer that you just kind of twist until it gets back to 0. There we go. I love it. I've gotten spoiled by the gear indicator on my Rally. I think I'm in 4th, 5th. Maybe I was in 5th. Whatever. Doesn't matter, it feels good. Look at all those birds. Gorgeous day. Not even halfway through February and it's about 50 degrees out. Can't believe it. 17-year-old bike and I still have the stock mirrors on it. A little bit scratched up, you can't see it from this angle, but they're still holding strong. And turn signals, solid stuff. But I'll tell you, if you are new to biking and you just want something that's about as accessible as you can get, especially if you're a shorter person, you just cannot go wrong with the XT225 or the XT250. They are a blast to ride without feeling too wimpy. I mean, obviously if I go out on the highway, it's gonna feel wimpy. This one caps out 60 miles an hour, maybe 65 if I'm lucky. Downhill with the wind at my back. But for these back dirt roads, especially when you get, you know, real technical trails, if you're new to that or not very skilled like me, these just instill so much confidence being able to just kind of, you can just stop, put your feet down and kind of walk it up big rocky areas if you get too nervous. It's super light. I mean, as motorcycles go, really easy to pick it up. And like I said, I haven't been on this much at all. It's probably been a couple months since I have been on it, and it just started right up. You know, I had to pull the choke out. But it just runs forever. And there's nothing to it. If you do crash, you know, there's no radiator, not even a fuel injector. I don't know if those are ever susceptible to crashes, but this is just bulletproof. And you can find these 225s, at least in my area, for $1,500 less than the 250s. So if you're on a budget and you want a bike like this, I would not hesitate to get the 225. I mean, I really love the 250 too, don't get me wrong. If money really isn't an object, I'd probably choose that just because quite a bit newer, if you, well, especially if you can get the fuel injected model, 2013 or later. You know, it's just a little bit more current. But if you don't mind this analog speedometer with no weather information on it, then, and you don't mind dealing with a carburetor. And again, I haven't had to deal with the carburetor, so to speak. It's run fine. I think it seems like when I first got it, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, I didn't like the idle speed that it was set to, but so I, you know, a couple twists with a little screwdriver, and I've liked it ever since. So that's the extent of my fiddling with this carburetor. That is one thing between these XTs and my Honda CRF. The turn signal and the horn are kind of reversed spots. So whenever I switch between the two, I'm always honking the horn when I mean to turn off the blinkers. fairway clear. You can see my passing power of this powerhouse of a bike. So here I'm going about 50 miles an hour. Absolutely. In fact, I wasn't even in 6th gear. So it's not like it can't go decently fast, but I wouldn't want to take this on the freeway, especially around here. The freeways are 70 to 80 miles an hour depending on where you are. But backcountry roads, highways, it's just great. Let's see, what mods have I done on this? I did put on these hand guards. These are Tusk. They've taken a couple beatings. Luckily, they've taken more of the beatings than my son has when he crashed on them. I did put on wider foot pegs. Probably can't see it from this angle. But just like the XT225, these come with little dinky ones that don't instill a lot of confidence. So yeah, 40-50 bucks on hand guards, $60-70 on, well, it depends on the foot pegs you get. I think I spent $60 or $70 on them, and I did put a rack on the back, so that was another, I don't know, I think it was a little over 100. Premier Racing, I want to say, is the rack that I put on this guy. Good solid rack. But there's just something to be said for getting all the technology out of the way, feeling low to the ground, and just kind of, I don't know, you feel like you're part of the road. It's a little different experience. I keep daydreaming about getting a bigger bike, like a Yamaha T7. Then I get back on these even smaller bikes than the 300, and I just remember how much I love it. I don't know that I'd ever actually do anything to take advantage of the more power of a T7. Which is funny because I know I've got friends who think of the T7 as a little toy bike compared to the, their BMWs or Africa Twins. But to me, a T7 is, I think, as big as I'd ever want to get, and it maybe the 300L is as big as I ever want to get, because this is just a blast. Love motorcycle shadows. It's my friendly neighborhood landfill. Thankfully, it doesn't smell today. Still got a little bit of snow on the north side of these little hills. Luckily, it's gone on these roads for the most part. No mud that I'm having to slosh through. That's one thing that I just don't like, is mud. Oh, spoke too soon, but there's a way around. These roads have been pretty beat up by the snow. These huge trenches in them. pull over here into this little area where people shoot sometimes. Ooh, thought I was in first. Do a little walk around of the bike in case you're curious to see what this 2005 model of the XT225 looks like. Oh, that's one other thing I did. There was some cracks in the seat, so I ordered this seat cover from eBay. It wasn't too expensive. I want to say $25 or something. Could be wrong there, don't quote me. The original one was black. I kind of like the gray. Here's the rack that I got. My fancy license plate. It used to be on my 250. But that's the great thing about having two XTs. You can see the plastics that I replaced. They don't have the stickers on them. So this, that's done its job. Still have pretty sure these are the original levers, so yeah. This guy is a workhorse. The other nice thing about the XT225s is that they actually come with a bash plate. Not sure why they got rid of that for the XT250. You have to get one. But yeah, it's got everything you need. Handles for the passenger, foot pegs for the passenger. Got some pretty decent dual sport tires on it. MT21 Pirelli on the front. I'm not sure what the back one is. When we got it, the front tire was bald, but the back one was fine. So it is a Cross AC10. Oh, it's a Michelin. Yeah, anyway, just fine. They have this little box that you can store, tools, or I think I have my registration insurance in there. Another thing that the XT250 doesn't have, you have to put it in a bag on your tank or wherever you want. But that's it. Easiest bike in the world to get on. Got my shadow in front of me now. A little bit of sand there that I didn't see. Felt it though. Got an audience. I will say, I think this is a carburetor thing. I don't know, maybe it's a motorcycle thing, or maybe it's a problem, I don't know. But when I start this thing, the idle is a little bit high, especially if it's cold. But then when it warms up a little bit, it drops way down. And I don't know if this is the right idle that I adjusted it to, but it's what sounded good to me, if you can hear it. But it never dies, so I assume it's fine. I guess the one other mod that I didn't mention is I did put a battery tender on it. which is, I'm sure, the reason why I was able to start it after having it sit in the garage for a couple of months. No kickstart on this guy, or the 250 for that matter. But they are really easy to bump start if you ever leave your key in and leave the lights on. I've done that before. Once again hitting my horn instead of turning off the blinker. Well, coming to the end of my little 20-mile ride on this guy. If you stumbled on this video looking for information on the XT225, I hope this has been helpful for you. Look at that, I'm at 4444 miles. Missed the 4444 and 4/10, but anyway, thanks for watching.